Welcome to session 6. Okay, so this can be a strange topic to some people. If we have variable server-side, then why do we need a database to store our data? For example, we could have just used a very big array, which is basically just a list of set data types, whereas in this case of Rust, we have vectors, something that's worth looking into by the way, to slowly compile a whole list of data. First by initializing outside the scopes, and then running a loop. It's because we want to keep the data somewhere even after we terminate our program. Otherwise, all of it will just disappear to thin air if we ever close our server, even after relaunch. What kind of data? Well, if you ever plan on having accounts for users, you'll need to store their usernames and passwords, or perhaps email addresses and phone numbers, along with other miscellaneous factors that are associated with the process of signing up. Email protocols and phone protocols are covered in a side course that will be made available with this one if you're ever interested, by the way. But let's move on for now. How exactly do we use the server to contact and adjust the database? The first thing we have to do is launch the database after installation as shown in supplementary video X. The next step is to connect our endpoint as such via a separate file like this one for best practices. Thereby allowing us to run any of these commands in the server with a simple file name preface, followed by specific server function, aka database query. Thus, we have established communication here also, allowing us to transfer data from server to database and database to server. Boilerplates are great. Basically, we can run these lines in the server thanks to mod database, which in turn runs these functions, which in turn trigger these database queries, establishing dual-way communications, thanks to the specific nature of some database commands as opposed to other database commands. As for what all of these atomic database queries do, it is time. Let us cover all of them now. Let's start with set parentheses. This just stores a variable in the database, the first parameter being variable name, the second parameter being the value associated with it. Now del parentheses. This simply deletes a variable from the database, the first parameter once again being variable name, the second parameter being non-existent. Finally, get parentheses. This simply retrieves the value associated with a variable, the first parameter being variable name, the second parameter being non-existent also. Just remember to add quotes, as these are strings only. You can convert them later. Now there are other dynamic data types like lists, sets, and hashes. Here's a rundown of each. Lists are effectively arrays, aka vectors as they are called in Rust. L push to add a value at the start of the list, R push to add a value at the end of the list. First parameter being the name of the list, second parameter being the value you're pushing. Then L set parentheses to modify a value in the list. First parameter being the name of the list, second parameter being index number, and third parameter being the new value. And finally L rem to remove values from the list. First parameter being the name of the list, second parameter being how many of these values you want to remove, third parameter being the actual value you want gone. L pop parentheses and R pop parentheses are also available. They're effectively the opposite of pushes. First parameter being the name of the list, second parameter being non-existent, and also no parameter either. To retrieve values from the list, you can use L range parentheses, which finds you all the values within a specific boundary. First parameter being the name of the list, second parameter being the starting index, third parameter being the ending index. Indices being a topic covered in arrays, aka vectors. Sets are basically the same thing as lists, but with the special caveat that all values must be unique. We use sadd parentheses to add values in the set, first parameter being the name of the set, second parameter being the value added, srem parentheses to delete values in the set, first parameter being the name of the set, second parameter being the value deleted, and as members to provide us with all of the values in the set. Finally, we have hashes. They're basically objects, aka structs. We have each set parentheses to add values, first parameter being the struct name, second parameter being the subvariable name, third parameter being the value stored in it, hdel parentheses to delete values, first parameter being the struct name, second parameter being the subvariable which you want to get rid of, third parameter being non-existent, and hget parentheses to retrieve values, first parameter being the struct name, second parameter being the subvariable name, third parameter also being non-existent. And that completes the main body of our course. The only thing left is to deploy, which we'll cover next class.